Hello everybody, this is Pitch Skull Black here, and welcome back to the Skull's General Reviews episode 8, in which today I'm going to be taking a look at a Doctor Who book that I'm extremely excited to review, Shakedown by Terence. Let's begin with this probably quite long review because I've got a lot of things to say about this book by taking a look at the cover art. Now this isn't the original version, New Adventure release. This is one of the Monster Collection reprints from 2014. So on the front cover we have the 50th anniversary logo in silver with the BBC logo up there, Shakedown in yellow down the spine there, Terence 6, then you've got one of the new series Sontarans right there, and then on the spine we have Doctor Who, a completely different new series Sontaran from the cover. I think I'm not sure who that might be. That might be Strax actually, I'm not sure. Then Shakedown, Terence 6, and then at the bottom there we have BBC books. Then on the back we have the little band or kind of little strip of monsters that all of the Monster Collections books have on them, and depending on the book and what monster, if the book if the book was to have, like, say for example the Daleks in it or something like that, the Dalek silhouette there will be coloured in the same colour that the title of the book is coloured in. So this one has the Sontaran coloured in the kind of honey yellow that the title is written in, and same with the O down here in the Monster Collection logo. So then we also have Shakedown, the blurb, which reads off: "For thousands of years the Sontarans and the Rutans have fought a brutal war across the galaxy. Now the Sontarans have a secret plan to destroy the Rutan race, a secret plan the Doctor is racing against time to uncover. Only one Rutan spy knows the Sontarans' plan, and he is chased through the galaxy in a desperate bid for his life. He reaches the planet Centauron, where Professor Bernice Summerfield's research into the history of the Sontaran-Rutan War is turning into an explosive reality. An adventure featuring the 7th Doctor by Sylvester McCoy," it says down there. This was the focus, which is not. Then you've got the Doctor Who logo down there, the Monster Collection logo that I was talking about, with the O in bold font in the same yellow as the title is, and the Sontaran up there. Then you've got prices down here, a little tree symbol for FSC, which I've no idea what that means, and then you've got a little barcode. And then for the innards of the book, it's your kind of normal, and it's kind of par for the course of the reprints. So you've kind of got an introduction by the author, spanning across some pages. Ending there, and then also at the back, then you've got the main novel itself, and then at the back you've got promotions for other Doctor Who books, same ones that there are in the other titles available in the Monster Collection. Prison of Daleks, Touched by an Angel, Illegal Alien, The Scales of Injustice, Sting of the Zygons, Corpse Marker, and The Sand of Time. Then at the very back there you've got a promotion for a different Doctor Who book, just kind of like a solo release, The Harvest of Time by Alistair Reynolds. Now that's the presentation of this book, and a few little miscellaneous things inside. Now to my overall thoughts, and now what is the general consensus on this book, and my overall personal thoughts and opinions on Shakedown by Terence 6. Goodreads, this book has gotten an average rating of 3.46 out of 5, with a lot of 3-star reviews and a couple of 4-star reviews and 1 2-star review, and yeah, mostly 3-star reviews and 4-star reviews. One example of a 3-star review on this book says, "I've never seen the fan video on which the middle third of this book is based, but as a separate story woven into a proper Doctor Who tale, it's not half bad. Straightforward space opera with a bit of a sideline Doctor, but everything else got a nice bit of characterization, and the Sontarans are handled well. So in general, it seems to be a lot of 4-star and 3-star reviews. People saying it's nothing special or kind of realistically an outstanding Doctor Who book in any ways. But in my personal opinion, this book is just incredible. Basically, the most apt way to describe this book, if I was to say like, this is Shakedown, the Virgin New Adventure novel in a nutshell. I would say that Shakedown, the Virgin New Adventure in a nutshell, is basically the Daleks' master plan, but with Sontarans in it. This book doesn't have like the like companion deaths. It doesn't have flame-throwing Sontarans. It doesn't have a wonderful performance by Kevin Stoney in it. It doesn't have a weapon that manipulates the elements of time. It has, and it's nowhere near as dark as the Daleks' master plan. But in terms of the sheer scale and sheer epicness of this book, it's practically the same as the Daleks' master plan. You are pretty much constantly going to a new location in this book, which keeps the story really fresh and it keeps the reader engaged. Again, much like the Daleks' master plan, you go from a prison cell to a planet in the far future, of which I am forgetting the name of. I think it's Centron, but I'm not sure. So you go to a planet where Christopher Quedge and Rosalind Forrester are looking for a criminal who turns out to be a Rutan in this book. You've got the solar yacht, the Tiger Moth, which is basically where the BBV is based on. Is basically the solar yacht that the BBV is based on, and then you go back to Centauron, and there's lots and lots of locations in this book, from like a prison to a citadel of intelligence run by intellectual beetles. It's absolutely fantastic the variety this book has, and it does really keep the reader engaged from start to finish by constantly changing its location and keeping the story fresh, and it just keeps the reader engaged with the amount of variety this book has. Breaking this story down into its structure now, we have got one prologue scene and three other parts to this book. So the prologue scene is effectively a 4th episode, but weirdly enough, the actual parts themselves are actually titled books. So you've got book 1, Beginnings, then you've got let me just get it, then you've got book 2, Shakedown, and then you've got book 3, which is Revelation. If I just quickly get that. No, it's called Aftermath actually. So it is split into one kind of like prologue scene and then those 3 episodes. And to be honest, there is so much stuff to this book that I could talk about, and there's so much that this could be fleshed out into. And to be honest, I really do think, again going back to the Daleks' master plan, this could be fleshed out into a like a 12-part story, much like the Daleks' master plan itself. I mean, for goodness sake, even the prologue scene could be like, which is only 10 pages long, has enough potential in it to be like its own single, or maybe even 2, maybe even more. Well, probably just maybe just like its own single, or like 2 25-minute episodes in itself. It's really packed, this book. So starting off with the prologue scene, which crams so much into it. You see the Doctor and this character called Kurt, who is basically this four-armed person that has been put into prison with the Doctor for spying, I think, and the Doctor's been put into prison for smuggling. It's not exactly certain why, but maybe that's explained in the prequel in this book. But it really does kind of set up this book, and maybe it's explained in the prequel book, Lords of the Storm, which I didn't know about at the time, but it turns out that's actually a prequel to this book, so maybe that's kind of explained a bit more in that novel, which I will probably pick up at some point. Basically this prologue scene just really gets the story going. It gets it rolling right off the bat. You basically get to see the Doctor and Kurt interact in prison, and basically break out of prison as soon as the Sontarans actually invade the planet Centurion, I believe they are imprisoned on. And then so yeah, it's just so much potential in that episode, and like I said, in that prologue scene, and I really do think it could be split or fleshed out into its own kind of like own single or two-part or two episodes of 25 or two 25-minute Doctor Who episodes. I really do feel like this book could be expanded upon and made into, or like that one prologue scene could actually be like expanded upon into its own single 25-minute episode, or even its own two-part 25-minute like little story or something like that. Then moving on to the first book, Beginnings. Basically quite a bit happens in Beginnings. It really does set up the book even more for the events in Book 2, Shakedown, and Book 3, Aftermath. Basically you get to see the Doctor, and basically get to see Christopher Quedge and Rosalind Forrester on the planet Centurion, and they're looking for this criminal called I can't remember the criminal's name as of now, but it's a criminal that they've been searching for absolutely years, pretty much, for absolutely ages, and one criminal that keeps evading them. And it turns out the criminal is a Rutan, and how it keeps evading their capture is that every time it kills a new person, and every time the criminal kills one of its new victims, it transforms into that victim's form, basically because it's a Rutan. It's like if it was the killer Sontaran, for example, it would like transform itself into a Sontaran because it's a Rutan, and they are basically searching for this murderer that's on a rampage and constantly hopping from planet to planet. And it also turns out that the Sontarans are looking for this same Rutan as well. And also in this book, also in this episode, Bernice Summerfield is kind of like sent to this kind of like massive citadel run by intellectual beetles in order to research about the Sontaran and Rutan war by the Doctor, so that he can gather up enough information to find out what is realistically going on in the story, and why the Sontarans are here and why they are searching for the Rutans and stuff, just to help him out find out why the Sontarans are here and why they're looking for this Rutan. Just to help him out figure out it a bit. And then we move into part 2, Shakedown, where basically the Doctor, Chris and Roz are trapped on this citadel, or trapped in the on this massive space station. At the end of part 1, the Doctor, Chris and Roz are trapped on this massive space station by the Sontarans, because basically they've invaded the space station and they basically put it into quarantine because they want to find the Rutan and kill it quickly and as efficiently as possible. and then it turns out the book is, and then it turns out that the Rutan has escaped onto the solar yacht, the Tiger Moth, which is led by Captain Didderine, I think her name is. I'm really not sure what her name is. Lisa. It's Lisa something or other. Captain Lisa. Captain Lisa Derain is her name, who is basically the leader of this Tiger Moth, on the Tiger Moth solar yacht, which she uses to participate in racing and whatnot. And it turns out that the Rutans, that the Sontarans, and that also Chris and Roz are searching for, has escaped onto that solar yacht. As soon as they are Captain Lisa Derain and her crew set out into space on their next race. So then we get to see a lot, and then we get to see pretty much. And then if I was to go into like what actually happens on the solar yacht and stuff, and just like vaguely describe what happens in part 2, it would be kind of a bit of a spoiler, but it kind of spoiled the story and potentially the BBV as well that this book is based on. But basically, the Sontarans have tracked down the Rutan to this space station at the end of part 1, and it turns out that the Rutan has escaped onto the Tiger Moth yacht, solar yacht. And Rutan has escaped onto the Tiger Moth solar yacht, and that the Sontarans, and it turns out that the Rutan that the Sontarans are looking for, and that Chris and Roz are searching for, has escaped onto the Tiger Moth solar yacht, and that also that they are searching for. But if I was to go into like part 2 too much, it would if I was to like vaguely describe part 2, it would potentially spoil the BBV and part of this book as well. So basically the events of book 2 or part 2 happen, and then plot threads from part 1 is cleaned up and all kind of tied up nicely in part 3, and which kind of does have a really nice climax and stuff in part 3. So that's basically like the kind of general plot line to this story, which I really do like. It feels extremely epic and really exciting, and it just keeps the reader engaged because it keeps going from place to place, from like a prison, Ruta 3, Rutan's own planet, where the Doctor confronts a Rutan, and goes from a space station to the solar Moth Tiger yacht. It has a citadel with intelligence run by intellectual beetles. It's just, the storyline is absolutely fantastic and full of lots of things that keep the readers interested. Moving on to the characters in this book, starting off with the Doctor. The Doctor in this book is very well characterised and brought to life by Terrance Dicks in this novel, with his witty side kind of being put onto show. Like for example, when he's imprisoned by the Sontarans along with Chris and Roz, he actually deconstructs a model of the Tiger Moth solar yacht that's in the prison cell with them, and he uses all of the parts of the model to actually construct this bow, like crossbow, that he eventually uses to kill a Sontaran by using the bow he constructed from the parts of the solar yacht, by shooting a metal rod into the back of a probic vent of a Sontaran. So the Doctor in this book is really good and very well characterised by Terrance Dicks. Moving on to other characters now. Christopher Quedge and Rosalind Forrester are very well characterised in this book, showing their kind of roots are kind of on show here, because they've always got to remind people that they are they are ex-law adjudicators, because their kind of law side is more put onto show in this book. So yeah, both of those characters are really good, and so is Bernice Summerfield, which again is another brilliant, which again is brilliant in this book. And if you're wondering if you don't like Bernice Summerfield too much, I wouldn't worry about her too much in this book, because she's mostly imprisoned in the citadel run by intellectual beetles that I mentioned earlier, for the majority of this book, and it is quite a light Bernice Summerfield book, this one. So if you don't like Bernice Summerfield too much, this book would be easy to stomach, because she isn't in this book too much. Now we're going to be moving on to the Sontarans themselves. The Sontarans are absolutely fantastic monsters, and very well brought to life in my personal opinion in this book, and their kind of war side is really shown, and they're just shown to be absolute brutes and extremely brutal, and will go to kind of any methods to get what they want. Like there's like lots of needless killing by the Sontarans in this book, so really and so the Sontarans in this book are very well characterised by turn sticks and their good old kind of classic series Sontarans from like the Time Warrior, the Sontaran Experiments, and the Invasion of Time are very kind of well brought to life here. They're kind of a more brutal side, and so yeah, like another character in this book that I'm about to mention, one of the Sontarans, the main Sontaran in this book is Commander Steg, who is one of two characters who is given this like really good character arc from this. Who's given a really good character arc in this book, because you get to see this character grow, develop and change, much like another character in this book called Kurt, because Commander Steg was actually leading the Sontaran invasion that actually happened in the prologue scene of this book, and he does really develop well in this book overall, and is a great kind of main villain of this book. He's there from the beginning he's there from the beginning, and he sees the adventure right through from the beginning to the end. So the Sontarans and Commander Steg are absolutely fantastic characters. Another character that I mentioned that got like a really good character arc just now is a character called Kurt, who is the Doctor's prison cellmate in the prologue scene. So he's given a really good character arc as well throughout the book, because like Commander Steg, he is there from the beginning to the end, and is extremely prevalent throughout this book. And in a way he does actually become a companion through this book, because he was the Doctor's cellmate from the first prologue scene, that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the kind of how this book is structured and its kind of plot. So yeah, Kurt is a really good character, given a really good arc like Commander Steg, and the way he departs at the end of this book is kind of made even more emotional because of the character arc he's given and how well developed he is. Again, much like Sarah Kingdom in the Daleks' Master Plan. So yeah, Kurt really does get to do a lot in this book, and in a way he kind of replaces Bernice Summerfield in a way for most of this book. Because, like I said, he's there in the prologue scene as the Doctor's cellmate, and he's there right to the end. And he even becomes a member of Captain Lisa Dorane's solar yacht crew at one point, which is really interesting to see. And he's overall a extremely good character. So overall, the characters in Shakedown by Turnstick is really good. Now the plot and the kind of structure of this book, and also the characters out of the way, what are my overall conclusions on Shakedown by Turnsticks? In my personal opinion, this is probably one of the best of two books I've ever read. out of all of the Virgin New Adventures I have read, let me see, Toy Soldiers, Band Therapy, Return of the Living Dad, Original Sin and Human Nature, and Shakedown, this is probably the best one I have read so far, and I would say this is actually probably the best Doctor Who book I have ever read, to be honest. And I might need to rewatch the War Games again, but so far I think it might be my favourite Tone Stick story. It's absolutely astounding, this book, in my personal opinion, and it is pretty much just like Dalek's Master Plan, but with the Sontarans in it. It's just so epic in scale and scope. Like, you go from a prison cell to Router 3, to the planet Centurion, a citadel run by of intelligence run by intellectual beetles, to a space station, to the solar yacht, and you even get to go inside the Sontaran's War Wheel at one point, which is like their main spaceship in this book. So overall, Shakedown by Tone Stick is an absolutely astounding Doctor Who book, in my personal opinion. I think this is the best Doctor Who book I have ever read, to be honest. It's absolutely incredible, and this is probably my favourite Doctor Who book of all time. It's absolutely incredible, and no, unfortunately this book won't be appearing on my top 10 Doctor Who books of all time list, because I was unfortunately recorded before I had finished reading this book. But yeah, overall, Shakedown by Tone Sticks, I'm going to go for it. It gets a solid 10 out of 10. This book is an utter classic, in my personal opinion, and this is one Doctor Who book that I would recommend to absolutely anybody. This is one Doctor Who book that every Whovian must experience. If you like the Dalek's Master Plan, if you like the Sontarans, if you like the Virgin New Adventures, if you like 7th Doctor's stories, just check this one out. This book is an utter classic by Tone Sticks. I really cannot recommend this one enough. And that at long last concludes the Skulls General Reviews episode 8, which was an absolutely mammoth review of Shakedown by Tone Sticks, but it deserved it. It's as deep, well, it's not necessarily as deep, but as busy as this story right here, the Dalek's Master Plan, which we could pretty much do like a movie length review on, and so this book had pretty much the same potential for a review as well, so why not go on. And I really wanted to do a really big mammoth half an hour long review on this book. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling on at this point. This review's gone on for long enough. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Pitch Cold Black, dematerializing.